Well, what the warning from the Dutch farmers is that every citizen from Holland especially, but also in Europe, probably around the globe, have to look at what do we want to have to eat in a few years' time.
All right, y'all, so we wanted to do another reaction video, and it's in the same vein and line of our previous video, speaking of the Netherlands and the Netherlands farmer. This time, Jordan Peterson posted a video directly from a farmer in the Netherlands. So we wanted to do a watch along with this and just respond. But this reinforces a lot of what we previously discussed and talked about. And it's incredibly troubling. It's all built upon this premise of climate change and this climate crisis we have, and we've been getting all these insanely bizarre brainwash programming comments about when are you going to start taking climate change seriously. And I'm asking people, like, what does that mean? Like, we practice permaculture principles, and we try to do everything holistically, pesticide free. We do a lot of different things with water conservation and mulch. We care about the environment. We care about our animals. We care about our community. We care about a healthy living ecosystem, including the soil and the soil biome and the mycorrhiza and all these different things. And what's really interesting is you have these people that are in their mom's basement or whatever, and they're like, "What's that, Mom? No, I'm fighting climate change. I'll just put the leftovers in the fridge," kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, "I'm taking climate change seriously, Mom. Hold on, I'll be right up." It's like, what do you mean? You know, because the agenda and the goals are to eliminate everything that human beings need to stay alive and to stay healthy. And it's the same thing for the animals. You know, they are super cool with just calling tens and hundreds of thousands of animals. It's certainly not about preserving the animals and keeping the animals alive, because the animals are part of the problem. They're bad, they're useless eaters just like us because they fart and whatnot. And that's been my point about this methane and CO2. They chose, there are much more toxic gases than CO2.
Oh my goodness.
There's much more quote unquote greenhouse gases than CO2. They chose CO2 because we breathe out CO2. And so we are the problem, and they want to get rid of us. And that's probably why they, I guess, got rid of the Georgia Guidestones about like depopulating the planet to 500 million or whatever. But this all fits hand in glove. This all started, well, this predates the Club of Rome, but in 1970, the Club of Rome talked about establishing the Economic Forum, which we now understand as the World Economic Forum. And then in 1973, Klaus Schwab founded the World Economic Forum. But we want to listen directly from this Dutch farmer, and we'll listen to him in his own words and what's going on there. He's boots on the ground. He's doing it. He's making it happen. And he will tell you what the reality of it is.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jeroen van Manen. I'm a dairy farmer from Zeewolde, a city in the middle of the Netherlands. Someone asked me if I could send a message what's going on in Holland, what's all about these farmer protests, and why are Dutch farmers angry. Well, the farmer protests are already here since 2.5 years. The 1st of October 2019 was the first time Dutch farmers...
So, the Dutch farmers have been being harassed by these oppressive regulations since pre-2019.
I did not know that. Totally didn't know that.
And I didn't know that either. And you know why you don't know it? They were protesting in 2019. You know why you don't know it? Because the mass media is controlled, and it's propaganda, and it's world propaganda. This isn't like a U.S. thing. You know, the World Economic Forum isn't some kind of U.S. thing. This is a global conspiracy. This is a global propaganda. This is a global problem. It's not like, well, if you don't like it, you can move somewhere else. Well, where? They're doing it everywhere. You know what I mean? So there you go.
Farmers had a very big protest. We all went to The Hague. And actually there was more like some protest about the wind which was blowing already probably for 30 years. That somewhere there's a problem in the environment. There's a problem with pollution.
And if you just listen to him, he's telling you that this thing has been in a groundswell in the background for the last 30 years. So this has been coming. All these guys, they play a long game. They aren't, they're slow and steady, wins the race, and everybody's like, wow, how did we get here? Well, this stuff's been going on and being written about for the last 100 years, and it started with guys like Malthus and different things, and then, you know, guys like Buckminster Fuller completely refuted Malthus, you know, and we understand that between technology and regenerative practices, you know, guys like Bill Mollison, guys like Jeff Lawton, and these guys that are using regenerative practices to come in balance and work with nature instead of against it, and create abundance, create a plethora, and create a balance back to and to not have to use all these artificial fertilizers. So there absolutely are solutions. And he's going to tell you that they started making a big deal about this, and they started implementing changes, and the changes that worked, they worked.
Agriculture sector gets pointed at as main cause of all problems. After that, after the biggest protest, nitrogen problems came up, and nitrogen problems aren't new. 30 years ago already, nature people start talking about nitrogen pollution, which would make the rain sour, and all the sour rain would cause lots of damage to the nature parks, to forests, and when you would hear these voices, all the nature would be gone in a few years. Well, 30 years later, nature's still there. Most of it is in excellent condition.
Okay, so this is the biggest point. This is the most important, salient point that we need to make. This is what I always drive people back to, because when you talk to all these snowflakey, blue-haired, triggered people, everything is based in emotions. Nothing's based in reality, ration, reason, and logic. I always point them to back. I'm 46, 47 years old. I read the popular science magazine that said that New York City was going to be 13 feet underwater by the year 2000 because of the polar ice caps, right? This is the same exact point that he's making. 30 years ago, they said all this nitrogen pollution was going to ruin everything and it would all be gone. Well, once 30 years, this is why it has to be a crisis. It has to be a crisis, and we must overreact as a power grab to do catastrophic things, because in reality, if we just observe what they're saying and observe what they're predicting is going to happen, it doesn't ever happen, because it's all propaganda and it's all about control. Does that mean that mega corporations aren't polluting the world and destroying and damaging stuff and polluting rivers? And absolutely they are. And it's these exact same mega corporations that fund the World Economic Forum, that are part of the World Economic Forum, and they're all about, hey, all you idiot little peons and all you idiot little farmers and all you useless little eaters and all you little dopes that buy all our trash, y'all need to do all this stuff, and y'all need to not eat meat. Hey, we're gonna eat meat. We're gonna fly in our private jets 9 minutes. These different guys now on Twitter that are actually tracking Bill Gates's jets, and he's making 9-minute flights, creating metric tons of CO2 to conveniently take a 9-minute flight in a private jet, and he's literally creating more greenhouse gases in a 9-minute flight than the average person creates in their entire life. And that's the other point I wanted to make. These people say all this, are you gonna start we started taking the environment seriously as soon as we started homesteading, as soon as we started participating in the process, as soon as we planted 400 fruit trees that sequester carbon dioxide. My point is not when am I going to start taking climate change seriously. I already take the environment seriously. when are you going to, besides just repeating some brain dead, brainwashed mantra of, when are you gonna, and you think driving an electric car is doing something.
No.
Or buying some kind of green certificate. No, an electric car produces more toxic waste environment.
Yeah.
That, you know, and it takes more. An electric car takes oil, coal, and gas-powered energy to produce it. You know, when these sustainable resources, when these renewable resources actually are renewable and sustainable, is when you take solar panel and you take solar panel energy to actually make new solar panels.
Yep.
One, that'll never happen. It'll never happen. So we're talking about a law of diminishing returns. So if it'll never happen, and if it's not possible, what's that mean? That means that they're trying to screw us into the ground. That's exactly what that means. It's all about control, and it's all about creating an ultra elite 1% that has everything, and a working class that has nothing, and they'll own nothing, and they'll be happy, and that's the end game. That's what they're shooting for.
And on top of that, I think it was 2-3 weeks ago, California was like, oh yeah, for everybody that owns an electric car, stop charging them because it's putting too much strain on the grid. On top of that,
exactly.
Yep.
And then, you know, we have this incredible heat wave going on, and they just want to push more power to the grid, but then they want to brown the grid down. Well, if you have an electric car and they turn your power off, you know, they want to turn our AC off. Well, turn my electric car off when I plug it into the wall. That wouldn't go so well. You wouldn't get anywhere.
No.
And that's because they don't want you to go anywhere. They want to control where you go, and they want to have complete and total and ultimate control.
Well, 2.5 years, people start talking about nitrogen emission, ammonia from agriculture sector. There's also nitrogen pollution because of the traffic, because of the industry, nitrogen oxides. But we don't talk about it a lot. When the nitrogen problem is called in Holland, it's focusing most of the times on agriculture sector only.
Yeah, of course, it's the agriculture sector. Hey, you want to hear the most ironic thing about all this Green New Deal and all this climate change and climate control, and we need to stop doing all this bad stuff to the environment and net zero? You know what they never talk about cutting? You know what they never touch? All these bombs and missiles and blowing up all these brown people. They are super cool with blowing up people all over the world. Yep. They don't talk about, oh, we need to stop drone bombing. Oh, do you think those drones emit greenhouse gases? They don't talk about oh, we're going to stop building drones, we're going to stop bombing the world. What kind of toxins and pollution? What about over there in Iran and Iraq? All that irradiated, you know, tracer fire. So when you fire at night, tracer fire is irradiated with a radioactive substance, and that's why you see it when they shoot it. The ground over there is so polluted with radioactive material, it's a desolate wasteland. So if it wasn't already a desert, it would be. And the military-industrial complex and these predator class oligarch district of criminals, they could care less about any type of environment.
Oh, yeah.
They could care less about any type of animal. What they want is complete and total panopticon control, and they want an automated panopticon, Internet of Everything, 5G, 6G, drag and drop, upload, update your immune system on demand. This is the kind of stuff that they want. And here you have farmers that are working with nature and practicing husbandry and caring for their animals and implementing practices. They say, hey, there's this nitrogen problem. So these farmers in the Netherlands say, hey, let's work on it.
Yeah.
And they work on it and they dramatically improve it and they implement practices that work.
When the thing started, and actually what I wanted to do is reducing the nitrogen emission and especially the nitrogen deposition on nature parks. Well, it started, agriculture sector came together, all parties like the dairy industry, pork industry, chicken industry, you could ever call whatever industries, came together made a big plan. There was a lot of solutions in it, and we tried to solve the problem. Our government, in the meanwhile, went on with making other plans, which resulted in the latest new plan a few weeks ago, and it's terrible. It's idiot, and it's of no use. What they did is they divided Holland in different regions. Some regions have to lower their emissions by 12%. Some regions have to lower their emissions by 46, 75, or 95%.
95%. You have to lower your emissions by 95%. That means you're out of business.
Yeah.
And that's the point of all of this cataclysmic legislation, is it's done in such a catastrophic way to destroy the industry, destroy these people's livelihood, to destroy these animals. Hey, where are these animals going to go? They're going to cull them. That's where they're going to go.
Yep.
They're going to die. Where's all the vegan outrage?
Yep.
Where's all the vegans and all the vegan outrage about culling all these animals? Where's that? Oh, we can't humanely raise these animals and love them and give them a great life, and then when the time comes, you know, we eat them, but we care for them in a holistic fashion and kindly, and we're kind to our beasts and we love them,
yeah.
right? And because it's all part of the life cycle. And there's and we eat a very largely plant-based diet for the most part.
Yeah.
But the thing about meats, the thing about beef, the thing about ducks, the thing about chickens is God created these animals as a nutrition accumulator. So you know that grass-fed cow, he goes out on that pasture and he eats all that grass and hay that our stomach cannot handle.
Nope.
And he's a bioaccumulator of an incredibly nutrient-dense food.
Yep.
And then we can actually harvest that food. We can store it long term through lots of different practices, canning, smoking, drying, and all these different things. And that's why this whole entire process was created for nutrient-dense, long-term food storage. And there you go. Now you know why they don't like the animals. Now you know why they want us to eat the chemical-ridden Wonder Burger or the Wonder Meat, and you'll wonder why it's not meat. Those things are made in chemical laboratories and in chemical factories, and those things are toxic. And I would love to see the amount of pollution that the factories that are making these
For real.
plant-based, and they're not even plant-based meats out of.
Or plastic.
And yeah, they're probably all just different derivatives of plastic.
In the meanwhile, our juridical system is on this moment that no innovations in agriculture sector are allowed to use. So there are different...
Nope, you can't innovate. There's no solutions.
Yep.
There's just tyrannical mandates by idiots that have no idea what they're talking. They're out of touch.
Yep.
They're when everybody's locked down, they're eating, you know, Ben and Jerry's out of their designer $4,000 refrigerator. These are the kind. It's the haves and the have-nots. You can't innovate. You can't create. You can't do anything. It's legislation by fiat, and it's pure tyranny.
And on top of that, it wasn't like, okay, y'all, this is like a 50-year plan or a 30-year plan to reduce emissions by 90%. No, it's like right now. We got to do it right now, this week.
Yep. And if that means farmers starve to death and animals die, big deal.
And we conveniently buy up all the farmland. Well,
that's coming. Why do you think they want to eliminate the farms? They're going to buy up the farmland.
We're going to see this.
Oh, okay.
Techniques for lowering your emission, but when you are asked for a court and a judge will look into your innovations, they will say you can't use it. So the only reason, the only thing to lower your emissions right now is just cutting your herd back. And actually you're probably coming at the main cause of it all. Nitrogen is more like, we call it stick to beat the dog. It's just to camouflage the real cause. Some left-wing parties in Holland and probably all over the world, it's the same movement. They want to get rid of animal industries. They want to have a transition to more plant-based food, transition to vegetarians.
If you believe all this plant-based propaganda, vegan, vegan, psychosis, you're crazy. And if you think that they're going to squirt some kind of plant-based anything out of anything and it's going to be remotely even digestible and usable as nutrition, you're insane. Okay? And that's why they want to eliminate meat from the world, because they want to stick us in our little battery module and plug us into the interwebs and suck every value. That's why the next economy in the fourth industrial revolution, and that's why they're creating all these different forms of currency because they've already leached, they've already ravaged every other economy. So now they have to invent new economies once all these fake economies collapse within the the stock market system and all that stuff, which it's all built upon a gigantic bubble, so they will collapse. So they have to create these other stores of value, and some of those stores of value is like, oh, it's the bioactivity in your soil. And the only way we can sequester that is, well, you can't own it, we're gonna have to own it. And then it's gonna become a monochrome of value, and that's what they want. They want everything.
Yeah.
They want everything, and the only way for them to have everything is for us to have nothing. It's the haves and the have-nots, and they don't want us to have anything.
We have all the stuff together. In Holland we also have a party like that, and they asked for 50% reduction of our national herd. That's probably on this moment the main cause of it all. We're not talking about nitrogen, no, they just want to reduce the national herd. Well, every farmer all around the world and also every citizen knows that cutting back the herd isn't the cause of any problems. You know, we are producing food. 2/3 of agricultural land on the planet can only be grown by grass, and you need cows like this for making grass into meat or into milk or whatever you want. Whatever problem with emissions, with pollution on the world you are asking about, whether it's not chemical, but farming is probably a part of the problem, but most of it all, it's part of the solution.
And the other thing too that I think a lot of non-farming people also don't realize, when the Dutch government says, oh, you got to cut back your herd by 50%, they don't want to actually say, actually, you have to kill off 50% of your herd.
Right.
So you got these super nerds that are like, yeah, cut it back. Well, do you know actually
magical?
Yeah, just they magically disappear, or they go back into these beautiful lush fields and they stop farting.
They could only pull that stuff off on vegans. I'm sorry, because vegans are so delusional that they say, yeah, cut your herd back 50%. Hey, dummy, like, you're so empathetic towards the animals. Like, that animal, that means they're going to kill that animal, and he's going to be tossed in a hole. Yeah. Right? It's going to be thrown away probably at a waste dump where it could never properly biodegrade. Literally. Because that's the way they do everything. Yep. They do everything. It has nothing to do with anything. It has nothing to do with practical. Nope. Has nothing to do with anybody's health. Nope. It's all about total control, tyranny, and they want to take everything. They want everything. How much do you want? A little bit more. That's what they want.
Well, Dutch farmers now are getting angry every day more. Government is not listening, and what we are fearing for is we have to leave our land, and that's also a deeper agenda behind it. In Holland, they just want to have farmers' land.
And then when it comes to all this, like, appropriations, and we get all these weird comments about being white people that, like, stole other people's lands. Well, here's the really interesting part of that. If you study the buffalo, right, and you study all these different species of animals that roam the plains that literally made the American soil as lush and as rich and as black as it used to be, it was because of all these herd animals and their farts and their poops and their burps, right? And for some reason, 500 years ago, for some reason, it's weird, but for some reason 500 years ago, that was cool and great, and we weren't going to melt into the sun, or we weren't going to freeze into a polar ice cap or anything, right? For some reason, 500 years ago, that was cool. But now all of a sudden, it's a problem.
So if you think that they are only going to be cutting back animals, well, you are delusional, because the next CO2 emitting thing is us. So
yeah,
there you go.
Just think Soylent Green, all right? Okay.
62% of the area in Holland is farmed by farmers. And what they want to do is they want to have the land cheap, so they're making it nature first. And when they have the land in their hands, they can build houses on it. Houses we don't need by Dutch citizens, because average Dutch couple is getting 1.8, 1.9 kids.
So for anybody that can't think that out, so if an average couple is having 1.8 kids, what's that mean? It means they're not reproducing more than themselves. So if they have a home, right, and they only have less than 2 kids, then that home is enough for the next generation. So there should be no reason to further develop and build more houses. But he's going to enumerate exactly why this building boom is occurring. It's the same reason why this building boom is occurring in America, because all countries, the only growth in any of these countries is by invasion.
So what's the problem of the demand for houses? That we get 100,000 refugees in this country every year. That's why they have to build houses. Well, that's a shortcut of our problems right now. Farmers are getting angry. They're not listened by the government. Every solution we came on with, they don't take it. And what we see right now, when we have to reduce our national herd, when we have to reduce our herds by ourselves, farms will break down. On this moment, when the plan of the government is coming through, probably 30, 40, 50% of the farmers have to fear for the future. That's why we're on the street. That's why we're protesting. That's why the protests are going harder. And actually, quite happily, all around the world, people start looking at Holland, what's happening there. Well, what the warning from the Dutch farmers is that every citizen from Holland especially, but also in Europe, probably around the globe, have to look at what do we want to have to eat in a few years' time. Dutch agriculture is world champion on every class, whether we talk about nitrogen, whether we talk about other pollutions. Dutch farming is best in all chapters. So it's no solution to get rid of Dutch farmers. The production which is going away up here needs to come back in another different area from the world. Well, we need transport.
The reason they're going after the Dutch farmers first is because the Dutch farmers are doing it in a holistic fashion, and they're doing it right. So they have to eliminate the solution first before there's any tangible data to show, hey, we've already resolved these issues, we resolved these problems, we have answers. No, the answer is the sky is falling and you need to take climate change seriously. Before you used to need to take global warming seriously, but now it's climate change, and then it's climate weirding, and within the next 2 or 3 years it'll be something else, and it'll change, and it'll be Ingsoc, and it'll be Newspeak, and the propaganda will continue if there's still anything to eat and if we're still here.
For that, it gives CO2 emissions and also the standards of production up there.
And if you want to support the farmers, go right now. We'll put a link down below to our Give, Send, Go account. We want to save Larry's Longhorns, and we're really excited. We're only 2 or 3 days in, and we've already raised $5,000, so we're halfway to our goal. So please go down below. If you can't give, or if you've already given, please share the link. Tell your friends and family. Tell people that like to eat food. Tell people that like to eat real healthy food, and they like to continue to do that, like next year, and maybe even 20 years from now, way into the future. All right. But
let's ditch the stupid Walmart and the big gigantic corporations. Ditch those guys. They can go suck on rocks and eat bugs, but
and they can sell Wonder Burgers. Go look at a Wonder Burger shelf.
Crazy.
It's stocked to the top.
Go crazy. If we can keep our cows, we can all return back to a more simplistic way of living, and neighbors help neighbors, and we butcher our cows ourselves, or we take them to the little local butcher shop. And we got to return back to the old ways of living. because we've let all of these powers that shouldn't be have way too much power and way too much control. And guess what? This is what they had this all in the plans.
Yeah, and we're not, you know,
years ago.
it's not just here, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
You know what I mean? And you know why those countries are like that? Because they've already been stripped of their natural resources by these mega national corporations that are running everything, the technocratic oligarchs that are now stealing all their cobalt and killing all those kids over there and stealing their cobalt and all their stuff to make their batteries. Because we all know that electric car batteries, how they create electric car batteries.
They come down on a fluffy cloud.
Yes, and then they extract all the unicorn farts from at the end of the rainbow, and they mold it like Play-Doh into an electronic car battery.
Aren't as high as in Dutch agriculture. So that's why we're fighting on the street. We want to stay on our land. When we are part of a problem, we want to solve it. We can do it. We always did it. Nitrogen pollution, nitrogen emissions turned back 68% by agriculture sector in Holland in the last 30 years. So we prove we can do a lot of things, but we will keep on farming. We will fight for our farms. And that's why we have the actions. We have the protests in the country. We're asking a lot of attention for our problems. This is, in Holland we call it a farmer's handkerchief, and it's made the symbol of the battle of the farmers right now. And actually it feels good that foreign people asking for what's happening in Holland, and we're warning you all over Europe. This problem, which is here in Holland, can be your problem in the next years. So we're asking for support from farmers and also citizens in Europe, all around the world. This problem could be your problem. When citizens want to have food on the plate in the next 10 years, then we have to stand up for our farmers. Dutch farmers are standing up. We are supporting all farmers around the world. Keep on doing what we do, and we have to start fighting for our farms, for our future, for our families, and for food on the table. Thanks very much.
So that's why we started our Give, Send, Go. We obviously support the farmers over there in the Netherlands. We want to support our farmers here. We want to help Larry save his herd. Any additional funds that are raised above the needed $10,000 to purchase hay and supplies for Larry will go to another farmer that we identify that's in need. A couple people had made some comments. I asked them to reach out to us.
Awesome.
So we'll see. I haven't gotten any emails yet. And then also we're working with a super awesome guy named Chris that has been kind of like the impetus of the starting this project. And we'll probably hear more about Chris in the near future. But if you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends and family. So you got anything else, Matt, you want to say before we close it out?
Well, I would like to add this though. I think the one thing is why they can push so hard over there in the Netherlands is they do not have anything to defend themselves with.
Wow.
I will not say the word, but over here it'll be interesting how it goes down over here, because unless they take away our defenses, which they're trying and they're pushing very, very hard to do. It'll just be interesting how it all plays out. So, anyway.
All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see y'all on the next video.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.